Greetings loves, it is I, Tactical Girlfriend. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing well. I've had my Gen 5 Glock 19 for a little over a year now, and you should definitely check out my initial review of it, but a lot has changed since then. This is one of the most popular platforms, point blank, in the entire firearms world to modify, and I certainly have had fun accessorizing it and making additions to it. There's a lot that has been going on with this gun in the last year. I've been tinkering with it, I've been trying all sorts of hardware out, and I just have some thoughts that might be interesting for you, and hopefully maybe might narrow down your shopping list when you're looking to do the same. So let's jump into it. But first, I want to offer a disclaimer here. When it comes to modifying anything, especially something like a handgun that you carry every day for your defense, you got to be really careful with what you do to it. Technically, especially with Glocks, bone stock is generally going to be the most reliable version of that gun. Everything that you change on it, everything that you add to it, everything that you modify, theoretically can make it less reliable. Now, that's not always the case. In reality, most modifications that you make are going to be perfectly reliable all the way, all the time. But there are definitely some things that can theoretically make your gun less reliable, and it's good to just make sure you're using reputable parts and that you're testing your gun and running it through its paces in numerous conditions to make sure that everything is working properly. So just bear that in mind, especially for those using this as a carry piece. Just be careful with what you put into it. Okay, so what did I change on this gun? Well, if you look at my first initial review, you'll notice that the first thing I threw on there immediately was a Streamlight TLR 7A weapon light. Every gun that is intended to be used for any potential hypothetical defensive scenario needs to have a weapon light, no exceptions. So I like the 7A. I like using that on guns that I've shot before. I've carried it many times and many years at this point. And it's just a great weapon light. It's 500 lumens. It's very easy to actuate with the downward motion of the button, as opposed to the 7 base model, which is activated by the side motion from a button here along either side of it. I just find that this thing is just way more ergonomic, and it works for me. Your mileage may vary, but it's an excellent weapon light, and I really am a big fan. Boop, boop. Another thing that you'll definitely notice immediately on this is that it has an optic, and that's my Holosun EPS. I did a whole entire review in this handgun optic, so definitely go check that out. I'm not going to go into the details here, but trust me, it's a fantastic handgun optic. I'm a huge fan, and I wanted that installed on the slide. So I took the stock OEM slide, I had it sent off to Wager Machine Works, and they milled it for the Holosun K footprint so that this could be installed on it. I don't like to use adapter plates. I didn't get the MOS version, so I didn't have to use the RMR adapter plate for this optic, and in my book, that's just a better thing all around. Adapter plates are a failure point, and while they aren't always a failure point or often a failure point, it still is something that bothers me, and if I'm going to be carrying this for my defensive use, I would rather just get this thing milled and just have that peace of mind. Also, while I sent this off to WagerWorks, I had them install some AmeriGlow blackout sights, and I also had them move the rear iron sight to the front of the optic. There's a very good reason for this. It's so that you can see your dot in entirety throughout the window of your optic. Even if it's obscured by the iron sights in front of it, you can still superimpose it if you're shooting with both eyes open on your target. You can still make those hits. You don't need to see your target through the glass. The iron sight itself, while it does obstruct some of the view, does so in front as opposed to behind, where you'll just simply lose your dot prematurely, and that's wasted real estate. So strongly recommend that kind of configuration if you can get away with it. One noteworthy modification that I've also made to this gun is that I've replaced the stock trigger with an Overwatch Precision TAC drop-in kit. The TAC trigger is really nice. I love the geometry of it. It's flat-faced, so it just feels better in my fingers. I feel like I can get a more even pull, and while the weight difference in terms of pull weight is not that different from the original being 4 pounds and 13 ounces. This one was 4 pounds and 2 ounces. That's not the main reason I got it. I mainly just prefer the geometry, and that's a purely personal preference. There's nothing superior about this trigger to the stock one. That said, I really am a big fan of it. I really enjoy shooting with this. It is ever so slightly lighter, but the main thing is just that geometry. It just feels really good in my hands. So take that with a big grain of salt. Again, don't necessarily recommend that you replace your trigger on your carry gun unless you do your research and run your gun and just make sure it's reliable. And this one absolutely is, in my experience. One subtle but crucial modification that I made to this is that I did replace the slide release with a Cogworks raised and extended slide release. As the name implies, this slide release is raised and extended. Now, why did I replace that? There is absolutely nothing wrong with the stock slide release. Let me just say that right now. It works very well. In fact, it works a little too well. With my grip style being support hand very high and tight on the gun, I accidentally bump into that thing constantly when I'm gripping my gun. So when I would shoot some shots and I would run out of ammo, it would actually not lock back because I was pressing the slide release down as it was trying to lock back. And there's other times where I was pressing up on the slide release and my grip pressure simply caused the slide to lock back after every shot. So I worked around it. I did modify my grip to make the gun work, but it was not ideal for my kind of grip. I really like my up, high, and aggressive grip. So I wanted to keep that. I simply just opted to replace that with a raised and extended slide release, and that's exactly the kind of person that this caters to. Your mileage may vary. This, again, is purely subjective to my hand geometry and the gun's geometry and my grip style. This is by no means me prescribing to everybody that they run out and get one of these. That's just simply what works for me. Another little modification I made to this was I replaced the mag release. The OEM Glock mag release was very flat and very uncomfortable to use. I had to curl my thumb in and press down very intentionally with the very tip of my thumb. It just was extremely unnatural for me and my hand shape. That's not to say there's anything wrong with it. Again, this is all subjective. I just wanted something that fit me and my hands better. And I wanted something that was just easier to actuate. Now, my quest for a replacement mag release was a bit of a saga. I first got the Glock OEM extended mag release, and that was extended technically, but it was very subtle. It really didn't resolve the original issue, and it kind of felt mostly just like the stock one, just ever so slightly raised. So then I went to Vickers Tacticool. That one was pretty sufficiently raised, but the geometry of it was something I just did not care for. It's got a rounded edge as you come around to the grip, and it just didn't really retain my finger on it very well. My thumb would just slip off of it too often. I just was not a fan. So then I went to Hive Technologies and got their extended mag release, and lo and behold, that was the one. This thing has a really nice knurled surface. It's got a flat surface so my thumb doesn't slip off of it, and it's very extended. Now, mind you, it's kind of concerning for some that they might accidentally actuate their mag release when they don't want to because it's so extended, but in my case at least, that's never been the problem. I've never had a mag accidentally be released from my gun while I was using it. So it seems to be working great for me. Again, very subjective. Your mileage may vary. One thing you'll immediately notice on this gun is that it's also been stippled. This is my first stipple job ever. Now, I didn't include any fancy borders or any weird little details to make it look fancy, so stop asking about it.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
I just wanted this thing to be very functional and very practical, and it absolutely is. That was a very nice stipple job for my first time, I think. Now, the stipple job was done by basically a rebranded wood burner that was branded as a stippler, and I used a conical attachment to help make round little indentations for the grip. It really made for a really nice textured surface all around. It feels very good in my hands. It's not too aggressive, but it is notably more grippy. Also, I did contour the trigger guard with a Dremel so that my support hand fits under it better, and I also stippled that. And I included a little spot that was stippled up front on the frame for my support side thumb. Overall, not to brag, but I'm really happy with the stipple job. The standard grip texture is more than adequate for pretty much anybody that shoots anything, but the stipple job definitely does increase my overall ability to grip the gun properly under recoil. Yes, I could just get stronger hands, but I do work out and still would like to have that edge, so honestly, yeah, stipple job, really fun and very practical. And last but not least, I replaced the backplate with one from Millspan, just for style points. And that wraps up all the modifications that I made to my Glock 19. This is an incredible platform with a huge aftermarket, and while it is a little overwhelming, you can definitely take advantage of that and find some pretty good parts. Ask around, browse some forums, try things out, see what works for you. Or don't, I don't care, but hopefully this video was interesting to some of you out there. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell too. Also, if you got your own thoughts or ideas or stories about modifications that you made to your Glock or some other handgun, I would love to hear more about it in the comments below, so feel free to jump in there. I also want to offer a ton of thanks for everybody who is keeping this channel alive on Patreon. I work a day job, and this project takes more of my time than my day job does, and it doesn't pay otherwise, so I do need all the help I can get to keep this channel going. I need to keep those lights on, I gotta buy equipment, I've gotta try things out, I gotta spend a lot of time and money at the range and on ammo, and things break. Anyway, you get the picture. I don't run ads on this channel. Everything that you see here does come from viewers like you, so if you do want to go chip in, you can always go to patreon.com/tacticalgf. The biggest contributors are named at the end of the video. And that's a wrap. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Please be good to each other out there. And as always, please take care. Bye!